Hello soulmates, welcome to another interesting tutorial by the Honest Fashion Academy. My name is Justice. So in this video we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful bodice that we saw on the thumbnail, the upper parts, and I believe we can make the skirt. So here I'm going to be drafting my upper bodice. I'm marking the waistline. The waistline I'm using here is 17 from the shoulder line, and then the under bust, which I marked at 14, and then the bust line, which I marked at 10.5. Okay, you can use your own measurement. Just take your measurement and mark it. So I'm labeling the measurements, the waist, the under bust, and the waistline. So we're going to be marking the depth of the neckline. You can see that the neckline is high. If you want to use um, the collar, so here I use 3 by 3, which is just a basic neckline. If you want to insert the collar, 3 by 3 is okay. So the shoulder drop down for the front is 1.5, and I'm going to be connecting it from the neck point to the shoulder drop down. Now the length of my armhole from the top of the shoulder is 9 inches. Okay, 9 inches. Remember, the shoulder drop down is 1.5, but I measured this from the shoulder point, the shoulder line. That's the beginning of the paper. Okay, so this is our chest line, and the next thing we're going to be doing now is to mark the width of our waist. Okay, we're going to be marking our bust span, that is nipple to nipple measurement, and here I use 3.75. You can measure yourself your nipple to nipple measurement, divide by 2. I did not add any sewing allowance at this point. After cutting, I'm going to be adding allowance to it. So we'll be marking out the size of that we have. For a basic that I'll be using ½ inch on both sides, but for proper drafting for the under bust, I'm going to be adjusting it later. Now at the under bust, I'm going to be using, for the bust of 39 I'm using, and the under bust of 31 I'm using 2 1/4 inch. So on one part I'm going to be measuring 1.5 inch, that is on the left hand side. Then on the front side I'm going to be measuring 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, sorry, that will make up for 2 1/4. Okay, that's 2.2 inches and 0.5. Anyhow you want to understand it. Okay, so from the bust point we're coming down by ½ inch, just to make it not to be too pointy, but I'm going to be using my curve to blend it. So even if I don't come down by 1 inch or ½ inch, it's still going to come out very beautiful and well relaxed. Okay, so that is the under bust tightening, and we're going to be connecting to the waist. You can see the difference is clear if I mark it the way it is, so I'm going to be adjusting it. I added something to the waistline, you can see, so that it doesn't look like there's a dart at the waistline, like there's a pouch or something that will make it to fold. So I needed to come down almost on a straight line to give it a very good look. So this is what we have, right? So at the waistline, whatever you have, you're going to be adding it back. Also at the under bust, whatever you have, you're going to be adding it back. I hope you understand. So I'm going to be measuring the size of my waist, which is 32 divided by 4, and that is 8, plus the dart intake, which is about 2 inches, right? The same thing we're going to be doing on the at the under bust. Mark the size of your under bust, then measure the size of the dart and add it back. This does not include sewing allowance. Okay, it does not include sewing allowance. When we are cutting on the fabric, we'll be adding our sewing allowance so that it doesn't become short. So we're connecting from the under the bust point, we're dividing it by 4 also, and we'll connect the lines. So if you have a big tummy or something, your shape might be looking funny, not curvy, but when you hold the dart, it's going to um contour it very well. It's going to bring out the shape of the bodice. So now we're going to be marking the depth of our off shoulder. That is where the yoke will be starting, and here I'll be using like 5 inches from the neck base, right? You can decide to use any amount. You can decide to come down from your neckline like 3, 4, 5, 6. And just know that however you come down, it's going to be revealing as you're coming down. So I'll mark this on a straight line, right? And then I'm going to divide the shoulder into two, but before then let's connect the armhole for the front. At that midpoint, I came in by 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to be connecting it to the armhole line. I hope you're following. At this point, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please kindly do so. We're locating the midpoint of our shoulder and we're going to be connecting it to the bust point. Yes, and this will help us to tighten the upper bust very well, using that as our center line. So at this point, depending on the size of the bust, you can use 0.75 on both sides, or you can go as far as 1 inch on both sides. 1 inch on both sides will work, 0.5 on both sides will also work. Okay, if you have a smaller bust, you can use 0.5 on both sides of the line. But here I used 1 inch. Yeah, initially at this point I used 0.75, but I later changed it to 1 inch, as you can see on the video, right? That's because I wanted the upper part to be tightened more. So I'm connecting it to the bust points, not using so much curve, just very slight curve. You can also use a straight line to connect it. So you can see what we have. This is really taking shape. Okay, blend it very well so that you do not have pointed area at the bust point. So even if you feel like the space in between is going to cause a problem, you can always add it back. Okay, so we're making progress. Now that is where the yoke line is going to start. Now the next thing that we're going to do is to cut the center front, right? We want to measure to know if we'll be adding anything to the armhole area, or we'll just cut it like that. Is it enough for us to cover our towards the armpit area? If not, we're going to be adding something to it, but it seems it is okay the way it is. So for the center front, we're going to be connecting it from our dart line at the upper bust. So at this point, it is your duty to know how much you want to reveal at this upper part, right? It is really your duty to know how much you want to reveal. Do you want it exactly the way it is? It is up to you. Here we're still connecting to the armhole to make sure that it is not so much revealing. So like I said before, it is just okay the way it is, and we're going to be leaving it like that. So coming to the front, at the lower part, at the waistline, we want it to be narrow. From that waistline down to the up, it will narrow down, and then towards the up it will be a bit wide. Okay, to be wide. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to use a pencil to connect it to where we want it to be, starting from that our dart leg at the upper part. You can see the way the pencil is going. So you have to determine how wide you want it. Remember that if you go in more, your bust will be showing, because this is going to be in between the bust. So once you open it, if you take 1 inch, once you open it, it will amount to 2 inches. If you take half inch, you open it, it amounts to 1 inch. So you determine how wide you want this to be and connect it just the way you're seeing it on the video. Okay, so I actually took my time here to make sure I get what I want. If it's not giving me a very nice line, I'm going to clean it and arrange it properly. So I cannot wait to show you the outcome of this dress when I finish making it. So okay, at this point I've not finished making it, but I decided to show us the process of making it. Okay, so like I was saying before, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please kindly click on the subscription button, turn on the notification bell, and you will be notified whenever we upload a new video. And we upload videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So any of these days you might want to come around and watch the videos that you've not been able to watch, or catch up on new videos once we upload them. Okay, feel free to ask questions, feel free to like it, share our videos, and you will be glad that you did so, and we'll also be happy that you did so for us. All right, so this is what we have on this part. So why am I still fine tuning this? Because I want it to be fine, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is what we've got. We'll proceed to drafting the back bodice. Of course, the back is just a normal back, normal. Remember, the depth of the line, armhole, and the neckline is just the same thing for the back. That is towards the off shoulder line. It's just the same thing. So I'm going to be drafting. As you can see, I'm done with the back. So the difference between the back and the front is what I will be inserting as my bust dart. That is about 2 inches. Okay, so I will be collecting it from the bust point to the 2 inches as my bust dart. Okay, So here I have all the pattern pieces, as you can see, and we want to cut the cape, and you can see how I'm measuring it. From putting everything together, I'm measuring from the depth of the neckline, right? And the armhole, the shoulder points are together, leaving the armhole open down to where I want the cape to stop, or you can even stop at the zipper area. So whatever you have, okay, if you want it to drop at your arm area, you can add up to 3, 4, or 5 inches depending on how you want it to drop. So this is how to measure for the cape, right? So we're going to use this measurement to cut on bias. Cutting on bias will make it easy for us to turn the cape whichever way we want. You can see that once you fold your fabric this way, it gives it a bit of stretch to make it easy for you to turn it. So while folding it like this, I'm going to measure the height of the cape, and then one part of the cape is going to be pointy, as you see in the picture, and the other part is going to be kind of bold or straight. Okay, so this part will be pointy, and then the other part is going to be in a straight form. Here I used 4 inches, right? So I'm going to be connecting it on a straight line at this the other part that will be at the back. This is just the way I want it to be. Cutting it on bias is the best way to cut it. So we're going to be cutting it, and I'm going to stir this with color stay to give it a little bit of structure so that it can stand instead of falling. You can decide to sew yours with just stay however you want it if you do not want it to stand, but this is not going to be standing so much. So you can see the way it is. I used a different color of facing, and this is how I'm going to be sewing it to my bodice. This is the front part, and I'm attaching it to one part of the bodice, the front part. I'm attaching the cape, right? You can see it there. So this is how you use your pin to secure it first, to make it easy for you to sew. So once you secure it like this, you're going to get your lace or whatever you're using and place it on top. You can see the part that is placed, right? And then use your pin to secure it. I'm taking this part slowly so that you can actually see what I'm doing and how you're to go about yours. So once you do it like this, you get your lining, right? For that part of the bodice, this is the front part. You get your lining for the one part of the front, and then place it on top. You can see the way it is on right side facing down, so that once you turn it, it enters under. So I'm still going to pin everything together and sew it. It might be bulky, but then you have to try and sew it very neatly in such a way that it will give you what you want. So once you turn it this way, you can see the lining will then enter inside, and this is what the outcome for one part will be. So the next part also, you can still join it the same way. Thank you, and this is where we're going to be stopping this video. Okay, you can see the way it is. Wow, wow. So give it a try and see how it comes out. Thank you.